Going to be the tactics employed by certainly the Japanese side?
The Japanese side, they've got two main go-to guys. That'll be Ikizaki and Shin Nakazato. So I'd say they'll be on the majority of the game. This is Ikizaki or Aiki at the moment, just passing the ball up. Main man there, definitely he'll be the one that the Americans want to have a hit on the plate. He'll be targeted all day. The Americans on the other side, a different game. They've just got lineup after lineup, just as strong as the last one that came off. So they'll keep throwing lineups, I think, at the Japan team and just wear them down over the course of the 32 minutes.
So when it comes to strength in depth, there's definitely advantages to the United States.
That has always been their advantage. They've got an awesome league there in the States, a lot of players, and it just creates a huge amount of depth.
Well, there's the main man for Japan, as Dan was saying, Daisuke Izizaki.
And he's just knocked down one of the main men for USA, Chuck Aoki. There's Chuck. Oh, it was Shin came in from behind and just put him on the deck.
Well, I think Shin seemed to enjoy that tackle. Tell us how it feels when you crash into someone and effectively upend them, Dan.
Yeah, it is a good feeling. I think that's one of the great things about wheelchair rugby is it is full-on contact. You're not allowed to go touch the body, as Shin Nakazato did just then. No body contact, but full-on chair contact. And it's just a fun part of the game, you know, getting that physicality and getting to hit another player. And when you can hit them hard enough to get them to hit the deck, yeah, it's a good feeling.
Derek Helton, the man who was hit by Shin there, number 13 for the United States.
So what happens there with Shin going to the bin? Basically, because he fouled the player, he got a bit of body contact. It means he has to go to the sin bin for up to a minute or until the other team scores. So 3-on-4 here, USA are just running for an easy goal, and Shin will come back on court.
Joe Delagrave scoring for the USA. 3-1 advantage for the team who are favourites, but then again they were favourites yesterday. So as we know in sport, you don't count your chickens until they're hatched. Here comes a Japanese number 11, the aforementioned fearsome looking champ.
And forced into the timeout there. Basically they've got 12 seconds to get over half, and USA just having a strong full court press, and they weren't even close to getting over half there. So Shin used one of his timeouts, 4 timeouts, so it's basically a get out of jail free card there.
Otherwise it's a turnover ball and possession to the United States, right?
Exactly. That would be straight turnover if they didn't get over 12. Of course, the other big one is once they get over half, from one end to the other, it's 40 seconds to score, so there's a score clock on there as well.
So as a player, how aware are you of the respective times? So you're keeping an eye on big clocks in the stadium, or do you naturally know when you're coming close to your 40 seconds? Yeah,
it just becomes instinctive over the years. You just really sort of count it without even thinking about it, and you know you're getting close to that 12, and you feel the pressure, and you know it's time to call the timeout or go for the Hail Mary at some stage.
The Hail Mary, there's a term from the NFL. That's when you boom it forward, is it? To just chuck it anywhere.
Yeah, you know that 12 seconds is counting down. You've only got 4 timeouts. You look up and you look for an outlet. And if there's someone there, you just get the ball to them any way you can.
All right, Japan on the attack. Need to get back on the score sheet. Shin does that. 3-2 after 5 minutes of the first quarter of 8 minutes, of course.
Good pressure there from Japan, just keeping the US in the backcourt, but Joe Delagrave managed to managed to get the ball through. A huge hit there on the way through.
Well, you could hear the crowd loving that one. That was a good old head-on collision. Iki with the ball, main man for the Japanese side.
Great work there from his low pointer as well to get him over half. Often, when people do come along to the games, they see the big hits and the big crashes. And then once you're there a bit longer, you see the tactics and see the blocking. As you can see, number 6 for the Japan there, running a screen block for Shin. Very similar to American football.
And Ike as well, number 7, blocking off on the far side. I think Chad Cone, just to make the space for the player like Shin to get through.
Yeah, a lot of work going on off the ball. So while the focus is on the ball, there's always a lot going on around the rest of the court, creating that play.
Joe Delagrave again for the USA. Number 14 plays his sport for the Phoenix Fusion in Arizona in the south.
Hasn't been around for a long time compared to some of the other players on this team for the USA, but huge amount of potential there. One great player the Yanks had there for a while was Brian Kirkland, who stepped down, and I think they really needed another two-pointer to step up and be that main dominant two-point player, and Joe's definitely got the potential for that.
Kazuhiko Kano, number 6 for the Japanese side, getting on the score sheet there. Same player again.
And just speaking of Joe's praises, he just passed the ball away far too easily. So I think I gave him the commentator's jinx there.
Commentator's curse, yeah. You pick someone up and they let you down.
Look at that, just too easy, just giving that ball away. There was no thought behind that pass at all.
What do we attribute that to? Is that pressure from the Japanese on him in the danger area, effectively?
I'm not sure. I mean, there didn't seem to be a huge amount of pressure there. That's why it just seems so uncharacteristic for any USA player to do that. They're so well drilled by Coach Gumby, James Gumbert. And for them to do it, I mean, yeah, that's, as I say, uncharacteristic. So Japan definitely in touch there. I think the Americans huge favourites for this game, as they were last night against the Canadians. But at the same time, they won't be taking Japan lightly. There was a huge upset earlier this year at the Canada Cup where Japan stepped up and took down the USA.
Japan, a developing side in this sport.
A team that's been there for a long time but never really got up there as far as, they've never been the favourites for sure. They've had some good tournaments here and there. They had a great tournament in 2010 at the World Champs in Canada and got into a bronze medal position. But beyond that, they've always been there or thereabouts and never quite a top contender.
That may be changing.
Definitely with Ikazaki coming through. I mean, he's been a huge boost to the side. And more of their players going through and playing in the US League as well. As I said earlier, the US League is just huge. It's so many teams and such a strong competition. A lot of players from around the world play over there. So each team in the US has allowed one international import player. And a bunch of these guys from Japan have done that and got that experience and exposure and stepped the game up.
We're good combining there between the likes of Shin and Ike. American pressure to try and keep them in their own half of those 12 seconds, as you saw.
Very close to another turnover there again. So Japan are definitely putting on a lot of pressure on this US side, this US lineup that's on the court at the moment. I'm just wondering how long they'll stay on there. As the American strength is a different lineup, so whether Gumby's going to start looking at other lineups he can throw at the Japanese side and start to put some more pressure on them.
And as you were saying earlier, strength in depth for the American side. So are we looking at a fatigue factor from the likes of possibly this player later on and not being able to replace him in terms of quality like the Americans could with when Chuka Oki goes off, he can bring on the Chance Sumners and other big names?
I think so. I think, as well, it's the end of the tournament. So these guys have already played some big games, Ikazaki and Shin Nagasato. So I think they'll wear down. They've got to wear down by the end of the game. They have got another great player on the bench, Shinichi Shimakawa. So no doubt he'll get some play as well at some stage.
Voice of Dan Buckingham from New Zealand is with us, giving us his expert insight into this game. Gold medalist in Athens in 2004. It's not gone too well for New Zealand in recent years in this sport. Are you a rebuilding country as well?
Yeah, it's been some hard times lately. Definitely not qualifying for this tournament was just gutting. And this is a team that knocked us out right here, Japan. We had the qualifying tournament in Korea last year. 2 spots available from Oceania. Australia were kind of cut and dried. They're a step above us, both Japan and us for sure. And then it came down to the game between us, and Japan just pipped us at the post. So hard times there. I guess ever since Beijing, really, where we didn't perform to expectations. We went in there ranked second and strong sort of medal contenders and just didn't do the business and basically lost our funding. So we've really struggled over the last 4 years. But having said that, some great players coming through. Some really exciting young players, Barney Konaferanisi, Nafi Lafono. So hopefully, we'll be back. We'll be there in Rio and stronger than ever.
And of course, you're from a prime rugby playing nation that loves its contact sports. Japan as well, they've got a developing rugby setup.
Yeah, you just mentioned rugby in New Zealand and people want to know about it and find out about it, so it definitely helps us out a lot.
Yeah, thank goodness rugby's not a prime sport just yet in the United States of America, given their college sports and the populations they have, and compared to New Zealand and Britain and Japan.
So American have got some new players on here, but not going well. They've turned the ball over now.
Just ahead by the 1 point, heading towards the end of the first quarter. Iki for Japan, number 7, man who's everywhere.
That was just dominant, just slid past Andy Cohen and then went on a big race for the line with Seth McBride. He's got some wheels, Seth. He's not a slow player, and Iki just burned past him.
This is Will Grew. Japan looking to block him in and get a turnover ball.
And another turnover. This is not going the Americans' way at all.
Good pressure from the Japanese. Delight on the bench.
Within 10 seconds. And Andy Cohen fighting through the reaches of the Japanese players. So Japan just putting a lot of pressure on that ball, but just pushing it too far and getting a bit of body contact there. Or a bit, one to the chops as well. So Shin Nagasato will sit on the sideline until the Americans score. And they'll just run it in easily.
Well, Shin Nakazato is a man who puts himself about. Not the first time he's been in a bit of bother.
No, he definitely pushes the envelope. A really good player, a lot of agility. He can just turn that chair on a dime.
Kazuhiko Kano is the number 6 for Japan. Iki the number 7. Daisuke Izakaki is his full name.
And this is a chance for Japan to go up for the first time, I think, in the match. And there it is, 11-10.
So what is Jim Gumbert on the American bench going to be making of this?
Coach Gumby, I mean, he's a cool, calm, collected man. I'm sure and he's such a smart man as well. He knows this game inside out. So he'll have plan B, C, and D already lined up. And I think it might be time for him to start going to one of those. As the Americans struggling to get over half there and having to call a timeout. And Shinichi Shimakawa, number 13 there on the right, getting excited. He's been the main man, the mainstay for Japan for a long time. And hopefully we'll get to see him on the floor at some stage. He's just got some phenomenal wheels, a lot of speed. Smart player again. Been around the game for so long and knows the game so well.
Ikezaki plays for the Hokkaido Big Dippers. Great name for a team, I think.
Change the lineup for the Americans. Chance Sumner on. Big man on court.
Yeah, he's the number 1 up the center.
And Scott Hogshead there, number 8. He's a one-pointer. So less function, but does a huge amount of work and just chipping away there at Ikezaki. Now he swings around to take the corner of the key and just spreading that key. So a lot of things happening off the ball, just trying to set up this play as the Japan fall into the key defense. So basically that oblong at the end of the court there, you're only allowed 3 defenders on that. So the 2 main defenses, I guess, the full court press, which the Americans have got going right there, and then there's the key defense. And huge play there by the Americans. Hit Shin out of court just before he could pull timeout.
Joe Delagrave, Chance Sumner doubling up on Shin there. Ball.
Two big boys for the Americans there, putting the weight on Shin.
Some fired up players. Same 2 combining this time to score. Sumner to Delagrave. USA back in the lead by 1 point at the end of the first.
And that's big to score last at the end of the quarter. Teams want to score last and first at the end of each quarter. So basically, you win the tip at the start of the game, and then whoever doesn't win the tip gets the arrow for the next quarter, so gets to start the next quarter. So if you can score last in the quarter and then score first in the next quarter, it's almost like getting an extra point. You go
getting double.
Up. So in these tie games like that, that's a huge play to be able to finish and score right on the buzzer.
Well, it's been impressive from Japan so far, from the likes of these two players, but as Dan Buckingham has been telling us, there is strength in depth on the American team roster. Coach Gumby, James Gumbert, has the ability to mix it up and see if he can take the heat out of the Japanese attack through the likes of Shin and Ike. Shin the number 11, Ike the number 7.
So this is quarter time, just 2 minutes here, and then they're back into it. Really impressed with the way the Japanese team are playing. They're sharp. They're looking good.
Manabu Tamura is the number 9 on the Japanese side. Chuck Aoki, another player from Arizona, plays for the Tucson Pterodactyls. Chance Sumner down the road in Phoenix.
So it looks like they're sticking with the... No, they've had another change, the Americans. It looks like Adam Scaturo was on. Chance Sumner still on there. And Jason Regier and Chuck Aoki. So this is called a high-low lineup. Often teams have a balanced lineup where the classification is sort of similar across. You might have one high pointer with a couple of mid-range players and a low pointer.
And we're talking about classification of impairment, which is something the coaches have to juggle in this sport, and also wheelchair basketball. Each player is given is rated a certain number.
It's a huge part of the game. Each player is classified. They're assessed by a team of physiotherapists and doctors and given a rating depending on how much function they have. So to be eligible to play this game, you have to have impairment to at least 3 of your limbs. So the majority of the players are tetraplegics. They've had spinal cord injuries, but then some other disabilities in there as well that affect 3 to 4 of your limbs. From that, you're giving a rating from 0.5 to 3.5, going up in 0.5 increments about depending on how much function you have. And you're only allowed 8 points on court. So out of the 4 players on court, it really comes down to combinations. Often when I was playing, or when I am playing as a 3-pointer, I often work really well with a 1-pointer, so we'll come on together as a combination. So rather than straight subs as players on and off, it's often combinations going on and off.
Adam Scaturo getting on the score sheet for the American side. 2 points advantage.
Of course, the other big thing with classification is it's often contentious and different teams around the world sort of challenging what a player should be.
But the classification is done by your own Paralympic committee, effectively, or is it done independently?
When you start the sport, you're often classified nationally, so you will have your own classifiers within your country, and then you become internationally classified by an international board. And then, 2 or 3 times before you become a permanent status, and teams can't challenge you anymore. So just going back, when I was first classified, I was classified at one event and then reclassified, and then it was actually Team USA, challenged my classification. So I had to go through the process again and just ensure I was what I was.
And was your classification correct, or were they correct in challenging you?
No, I stayed the same, so always been a 3-pointer. But some players do change. Adam Scaturo there as an example started the game as a 2-point player and then went down to a 1.5. Which is huge, as you know, when we talk about combinations again, to be able to drop half a point and come on with someone with more function really adds to a team. So to drop or go up a half a point classification is massive. And it's affected teams here at these games. France came in and had some classification issues. One player ended up being classified out of the game and another player went up. So really affected their campaign.
Some big hits coming in today. That's what the fans want to see. It's what the players enjoy. Adam Scaturo to Chance Sumner. Near side, Jason Regier of the Denver Harlequins, the number 7.
Just getting the feeling the Americans feel like they're starting to settle a bit more into this game, starting to get a bit more of that control. And they ease up to 2 points over now, 2 points above the Japanese team. Japanese, the earliest thing they seem to have has just been a little subdued now.
Remind you, watching the bronze medal match between the United States and Japan. Not everyone expected this match off to occur, but gold later to be played for by Canada and Australia. Canada, the somewhat surprise victors over the American side on Saturday. Spirited Japanese performance, though, from the likes of Ike, being shepherded by Aoki inside the key, but man has got manoeuvrability.
Yeah, great player, Ike. Great agility to be able to turn his chair and just speed to match it as well. And just a smart player as well. He doesn't seem to do a lot wrong. He puts himself in the right places. Just like this man does as well, Aoki.
Just explain what we see occasionally, and we saw it on the, I think the last point but one when Chance Sumner scored, where he'll park himself on the key, on the goal line, waiting for a Japanese defender to come, when of course he could have rolled over like Aoki there to score straight away. Why is he waiting there? What's he doing?
Yeah, just taking down a few seconds off the clock. I think at that stage there was one of the Japanese players in the bin, in the sin bin, so they were just setting up the next play and already looking ahead. So Chance just giving his teammates time to set up. I think they were trying to trap the player in the bin. So what happens there is they put a couple of players around the bin, so when the player has to come on, he's straight into a trap and can't go anywhere. So just very tactical. I mean, you know, you see the big hits, which are awesome, but a lot of tactics going on in this game. And very close to a turnover there. Japan just managed to pull it back in and get the goal. Getting low on the shot clock there as well. I think they were down to about 5. So only 40 seconds to score a goal.
That's the clock that you can see in the top of your screen that the fans have got an eye on, that you'll hear being counted down. 12 seconds to get over halfway, 40 to score. There shouldn't be an issue on this occasion.
Oh, cut him down. And you get some pressure on this guy. This could be a turnover. And just pushed it too hard, and that's a reach.
Yeah, I think I spoke too soon there. Adam Scatura getting nicely boxed in.
Shin goes in for the ball here and just pushes it too far. I think we'll see a bit of body contact here. Just cut off a bit early. And that's why Shin has now gone to the sin bin.
Shin in the sin bin again?
So again, Chance will just hold up the ball here while his players set up and just wait for Shin to come on so that Shin goes straight into a defender. USA just trying to work the two main men out of the game, Shin and Eki. Basically, they don't want the ball with this guy who's got it right now.
Oh, terrific play.
That is awesome teamwork right there. Look at that. They just know where each other are.
Scatura again for the United States. And I guess when you're getting down to teams that are evenly matched at this stage of a competition in a medal game, it's the turnovers that can prove vital, given one side's ability to only stay ahead by 1 or 2 points at any one time.
Yeah, one turnover can be huge, you know, it can be the winning or losing of the game. As we've seen with last night's big game, you know, Canada, USA just coming down to 1 point. And that was really a massive game. But Canada have a bit of a reputation for doing that to the US in major tournaments. You know, they're the ones that knocked them out of the final of the 2002 World Champs back in Sweden. 2004, of course, beat them in the semi-final to make USA play off for bronze, and then they've done it again here in London.
Aoki, one of the fine players for the United States, you see him there, number 5. He was the man who committed the foul with 30 seconds to go against Canada. Gave them the ball, gave them the chance to score, gave them that 1 point win, and it comes down to fine margins at this level, as this American team found out painfully yesterday.
Yeah, definitely painfully. I think they really would have been hurting last night. Just big favourites, as they always are, just being the team that they are. But I think they would have been looking forward to the show-off with Australia. They've been heavily favoured this tournament as well.
USA ahead by 2. Japan won't want to let them get too far away.
Close to a turnover there. Chance just managed to strip the ball off the lap of Ike, but it's called off Chance's hand, so it'll still be Japanese ball. And Pierre, Canadian ref, just passed the ball over. Gets playback started.
Thunderous challenge coming in from Seth McBride on Ike. Nothing seems to stop this man.
It just makes it look easy at times, doesn't he?
He's got a fabulous turn of pace. Norihisa Iwabuchi is the coach of the Japanese side you just saw there.
USA got a new lineup on and they turned the ball over. Andy Cohen, pretty uncharacteristic for him. He's usually safe with the ball, but just pops the ball out of his lap then. Not even sure what happened. Just
didn't get hold of it, didn't Cohen?
Not at all. It was like he was thinking about what he was going to do before he even caught it. And just doesn't get a very nice touch to it there neither.
Derek Heldon, the number 13, another player from the Tucson Pterodactyls.
So the USA running 4 two-pointers here. A really balanced lineup. Basically every player on court could carry the ball, could run with it. But at the same time, it's a bit of a trade-off because they don't have a dominant player on court in terms of a high-functioning player like Ikazaki for the Japanese side.
So technically, was that a tactical timeout there by Ike with the struggle to get towards the halfway line, or one where he needed to reassess with the rest of the coaching staff?
No, I think that was getting out of jail free, pulling one of those cards. They've got 4 of them in the match, and they were just pulling really close to that 12-second to get over half. So he just pulled it, keeping it safe at this stage. They're still within reach, 2 points down with the ball, so should be 1 point down shortly. So I think it's just at the stage of the game where you don't want to take big risks. And USA falling back into the key defense now. So they're only allowed 3 players in that orange area around the goal line. And this will be a work play from Japan. They have the 2 players on the outside trying to spread the key, spread the defenders, and create an alley for Ikazaki just to cruise on through.
How difficult are these chairs to maneuver compared to a chair that you would use in everyday life? Because they look pretty hefty.
Yeah, they've got a bit of weight to them. It's a bit of it's a balance between being light enough to push fast and having a bit of weight so you can hit and take the hits. But maneuverability-wise, they're awesome. I first tried one when I was still in a spinal unit after I broke my neck, and it just felt so easy to push. And you're just free, you just glide around the court compared to sort of just pushing around in the day chair, big old hospital chair I was in at that stage. So yeah, they're great to push. And the great thing is you look at these players and they, as I say, glide around the court and look really agile. But when you take them out of that environment, they often haven't got a lot of function. Some of these guys, don't have full use of their triceps or biceps. And you wouldn't guess it when you see them on court and the skill and athleticism they have. Huge play there from the USA, pushing Ikazaki into the corner. So you have to get 2 wheels over the line to score the goal, and they just pushed him into that cone, pushed him out of bounds before he could get two wheels over.
Joe Delagrave pumped up, number 14 for the United States.
They're definitely good at celebrating their successes, USA. They get pumped up. They are a pumped up side to play against.
Derek Helton with that score. Still that 2-point gap over Japan. Japan have only been in the lead once so far in this game, but they haven't been out of touch at any one stage at all with the likes of Shin and Ike.
And another turnover there from Japan. So they're struggling to get over half in 12 seconds, and Shin had to go for the big pass, and it just couldn't connect. So USA with time to burn now, just setting up this play and looking to go 3 points up as we get close to the end of the second. This is a bit of tactics as well. With 40 seconds on the clock, they want to score with enough time there that Japan have to score to leave less than 40 for the US to score last, if that makes sense.
There's a lot for these players to think about. I'm sure it becomes second nature after a while, but it's more than just the big hits that I think a lot of us learn from seeing the Murder Ball documentary of years ago.
Yeah, and there's big hits that still make it fun, you know. After all these years, that's what I love. And but it's funny, sometimes people ask, why are they doing that? What's happening? And you kind of have to think about it and explain it. But as you say, it's just, as a player, it just comes second nature. You just do it. And it's kind of the things that for you are a no-brainer. You know, you want to score last at the end of the quarter. You know, in your head, you know that you're coming up to 12 seconds to get over half. It's just things you do without thinking about.
Well, this is why we're glad that Dan Buckingham is with us, gold medalist at this event in Athens in 2004 for the New Zealand side, to explain the intricacies of Murder Ball.
And this is a hard one to explain here, and people struggle to comprehend this. USA just burning the clock, winding down. They want to score last in the quarter, and they call time out there. Basically, the shot clock was getting down to 2 seconds. Still 14 seconds on the game clock. But if you call a timeout, it resets the shot clock to 15 seconds. So they will get the last to score in the quarter here. Or that's their plan, at least.
Well, Charles Sumner looking completely impassive in the face of that furious attack coming in from Daisuke Izazaki. Ize, number 7. Terrifying looking chap when he comes at speed, but Sumner really not at all interested.
Yeah, I think he's a little annoyed just quietly. Iki came in and basically tacoed as well. Broke a few spokes or maybe bent an axle. So there's a quick change there from the sideline. So he's counting down now, 10 seconds on the clock. So USA want to score as close to 0 as they can. Get the last to score in the quarter. And he'll just ease over the line with not enough time for Japan to score again.
And a smack from the same man for his trouble. So 3-point advantage for the United States.
And that'll take us into the half. So now they have a 5-minute break and come back for another half of this. Well, it's been a pretty action-packed game.
Well, the coach of the Japanese side, Norihisa Iwabuchi, looking not at all unhappy with his side's performance so far. They're within 3 points at 24-21. Good supporting play of the likes of Kano, number 6 for Japan. Starman, of course, being the aforementioned Ike and Shin, who's been everywhere, including the sin bin more than once. But what is Coach Gumby going to be thinking about during this 5-minute breakdown?
Coach Gumby, I mean, he'll G the players up, but the big thing about him, he's a very tactical man. I think he'll stick to what needs to be done and not worry too much about the semantics around getting the players all amped up and that. I think he'll be all about the play and the lineup and what's going to happen next, and just looking ahead, controlling the controllable, which is what's right in front of them. But Japan, yeah, very much still in touch here. Only 3 points down. This game's definitely there for them if they can pull it off, if they can continue what they've been doing this half, and a few passes that didn't quite go their way and went the way of the Americans. If they can just get those ones, they could cause another upset here.
Yeah, it's been a good performance so far by the Japanese side. Reminder coming later: Canada against Australia for the gold medal. And Canada, Dan, I guess, are going to be flying and full of confidence after beating the USA, albeit by just the 1 point yesterday.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they came out. It was a huge game, and they would have got back and got the usual food and fluid and recovery and maybe a bit of a video session about the Aussies. But I think, a big game like that, it's hard to bounce back for another big game. So whether they've got more in the tank, we'll have to wait and see. And Australia are just looking sharp at the moment as well.
Who are the players we should be looking out for later on in the day in the gold medal game for these two sides?
The main man, without a doubt, for Aussie is Riley Bat. best player in the world right now, but he's got some great support there with Chris Bonds come through strong recently. But the two other guys to really watch out for and often don't get a lot of credit for their work is Nazim Erdem and also Ryan Scott, 2.5. So they're low functioning players, but just do a lot of damage around the court. Definitely Nazim, just been around forever and got the flowing black locks behind him. He'll be screaming around the court, just doing a lot of damage behind the scenes. Canada, they're pretty strong across the board. Really well coached. It's the former American coach, Kevin Orr. So he's coaching Canada now. Also my ex-coach when I was playing for a team out of Alabama. Great coach, done so much for the sport. So personally, I'd love to see him get up there and get his team to get a win, to get the gold. Also got some really good mates there on the Canadian team. I played for Quebec, had the privilege of that 1 year, and so Patrice Simard and Fabien Lavoie. Also on that team, I ran into the other day Dave Wilsey and Ian Chan. This is before the competition started, and they said when they heard I was commentating, they said if I get a chance, just put out there that they are single and available. So,
All right, well,
so make sure, check out Dave Wilsey and Ian Chan. A couple of good-looking dudes there.
yeah. Find them on Twitter. Direct message. Preferably direct message, otherwise it could be a bit embarrassing. But, well, interesting times for the United States team picking themselves up after that defeat, having to play Japan for the bronze medal. But we've seen tremendous passion in all games so far, Dan, in this sport, and the one that's closest to it, which is the wheelchair basketball, of course, as well. And whether it's a 6th or 7th place player for 5th or 6th, there's no quarter given and none taken.
No, there's a huge amount of passion. I mean, these guys put their life into getting to this stage and being able to play here at the big show. So it's massive, and it's great to see as well. You can see with the crowds that pull in and all the talk that's been around the rugby and the basketball and all the media hype. It's all through the papers. And there are other sports where there's a lot more medals available, like swimming and athletics. Whereas I guess a country takes away a team of 12 athletes to play wheelchair rugby with the hope of just one medal. But I think it's more than just a medal. It's the being able to say that you're the wheelchair rugby gold medalist or the wheelchair basketball gold medalist. A team sport like that is something else and worth more than just a medal.
What was the reaction back home when you guys won the gold in 2004? It
was amazing. It was, the feeling was beyond words. It really is. It's one of those things that you just carry inside you. It's more than a medal. But the reaction was phenomenal. I was really surprised. Just recognised around the streets, and so many people would just come up to you and say how much it meant to them, which was, I don't know. I guess so humbling, really.
Well, I guess as well in those days it was a New Zealand rugby team proving itself at world level, which hadn't happened for quite a while. Certainly not until last year.
Yeah, we struggled with World Cups there for a while, and it was a bit of a relief last year. I think the nation breathed a collective sigh.
Oh, yes.
The All Blacks won. And such a tight game against France in the end as well.
Yeah, if you're a fan of rugby, you'll know that the French side have been the nemesis for New Zealand in more than one World Cup going down the years. 2007, also 1999. Two passionate rugby playing countries. Saw a spirited performance by the French wheelchair rugby team the other day as well. Another developing side at this level.
They're pretty fresh on the scene, the French team. First time they've been at the Paralympics. So great to see another nation coming up. The sport's just getting stronger and stronger around the world.
So 3-point advantage to the United States ahead of Japan. Chuka Oki, number 5 for the USA.
There's still the two main men there just working away for Japan. As USA have thrown several lineups on.
Will they go the whole way through, Shin and Ize for Japan, or will they be rested at some stage by Coach Iwabuchi?
I think at some stage, I really expect to see Shinichi Shimakawa. He's just been a player that's done so much for Japan over the years. I'd love to see him on court, and he's still a great player. I guess since Ikezaki's come to the fore, he's struggled to get as much court time, but still, a lot of skill. And another turnover there by Japan. So it just feels like USA just inching away. There's a second turnover this half already.
Turning the screw, that was Kazuhiko Kanu, number 6 for the Japan side.
A bit of a smile there even from Coach Gumby.
Yeah, perhaps he can see this opening minute of this quarter as a slight watershed for the American team.
Yeah, just chipping away, wearing down on the Japanese side.
Derek Helton with that score, 27-23. What can Japan do about this to get back into the game?
Yeah, it's. I mean, they haven't really got many more cards up their sleeve. These are the main guys on the court now, and they've got to be tired. End of the tournament, being pushed all the way. Some big games.
How tough is it to come into an event like this and have to play and rest on effectively consecutive days sometimes?
It can be, it can definitely get you down, especially if you're not getting a lot of rest, if you haven't got a lot of, depth in your bench. Often you go away at tournaments and you can play, you can play a couple of games a day. But these games here at the Paralympics, World Champs, Paralympics, they're so intense. A game a day is more than enough. And it can be hard to recover from. These guys will have all the support they need. They'll have the nutritionists, they'll have the massage therapists. They'll have plans and places for recovery, but it's still tough.
Also got those guys around at Otto Bock who hammer the wheelchairs and weld them back into shape, which is quite fascinating to see.
Yeah, the chairs take a huge amount of, hits and damage. They do need to get welded, a lot of broken spokes, out of alignment. People see the big heads, but it's not too hard on the body. It's a lot harder on the chairs than it is on the body. The main injuries we see with wheelchair rugby is a lot of overuse injuries. The shoulders just doing the work that they're not supposed to do. And occasionally you'll have a black eye or a bit of a cut if you hit the deck too hard.
Chuck Aoki with that score for the United States. Ike needs to get on the score sheet fairly soon. Oh, nice blocking hit coming in from our friend Shin, who is the sort of player I think who, is it fair to say he welcomes the physicality of this sport, the Japanese number 11.
Yeah, he's good at hitting, definitely in close quarters. He's got that full trunk control, so he can get in there and just throw his chair into the hit.
Just like that. Yeah. Here's Aoki again. Support on the inside. Derek Helton scoring again for America. 6-point gap.
6 points this late in the third. That's looking pretty comfortable for the US now. And Japan are really going to have to pull something. I'm not sure what they've got, but they need something here to start getting some turnovers.
And I guess given that generally when you have possession, a good team seems to score, turnovers is the only way that you can actually start to draw down this deficit.
Yeah, they need to create pressure somehow. And at the moment it just feels like they're not going through the motions, but they're just doing the same old. And they need to change up. They need to do something because USA are starting to look comfortable.
All right, USA on the ball again. Joe Delagrave.
Oh, back over half. Did he call timeout? Oh, that's a big call from referee Phil Washbourne. I think he may have been back over half there. So as we talked about earlier, you got to get 12 seconds to get over half. And then if you go back into the back court, then it's a turnover. So Japan just caught him right on the line there and pushed him back over that half. But the ref called, it was a timeout first. So
the ref called the timeout, or Delagrave called the timeout?
Delagrave was calling the timeout, but the way I seen it just looked like he was back over half before he called that timeout. So it's that fine line when it comes down to the referee's decision, which happened first. So the referee saying that he called timeout before he went back over half. So Joe would have known that halfway line was coming up. He would have known a Japanese player was going to hit him, and he just called that timeout. But whether he called it in time, that's up for debate, I guess.
Still a 6-point gap thanks to that score by Aoki. Kano for Japan on the attack. Back to Ike.
They want to get that ball back to Ike as soon as they can, the main playmaker.
Kotaro Kishi is the fiercer looking chap with the eye goggles, number 15 for Japan. On the near side.
Good pressure here from the Americans. That 40 clock's got to be running down. But Ikizaki finds a way through. Oh, another player down. Going in for the big hit, and he ended up on the ground himself. The time taken away for the Japanese. Running out of time to make a difference here.
Worth mentioning as well that players aren't allowed to get themselves back up onto their feet. You've got to wait for the guys to come on with the rubber mat to make sure you don't damage the court.
Yeah, there's you got to wait there and basically for a stoppage in play, and then you're strapped into your chair, so the players, the staff come on and just put the player back on their feet, back on their wheels, and straight back into it. So Japan, they couldn't get the ball in. They've got 10 seconds to get the ball in there, and just couldn't find an outlet, couldn't get the ball in, so called a timeout. We're going to get a timeout count from the ref there. Just they've got to be close to using up all 4 of their on-court timeouts. They do have 2 other coach timeouts, so a coach can call timeout from the side during a stoppage in play, and that's more of a tactical timeout often.
Ike getting some running repairs to those arms that are doing a lot of work for the Japanese side.
Yeah, he's got a lot of coverage up on those arms. You see all the players with different sort of gloves and strapping techniques to protect their arms from the wheels, and just get a lot of scrapes and burns. But also the gloves help grip the ball, because these players, basically everyone here on the court has some reduced function to their hands, some more than others. So they'll wear their gloves that have got grip to them, but they'll also put tack on that, so they'll have like a sort of grippy sort of tack. It's called clister, and it helps just hold the ball and tack the ball better. Sounds like Shin got a flat tire there in the back court, so just calling for equipment. So once there's a stoppage in play, staff will come on and change his wheel.
There's quite a support staff who are doing the mechanical stuff, and I guess if you've got a flat tire, once they've changed it, they've got to go and fix the puncher, right, and pump it back up again. Exactly,
yes. They're off. They'll just have a bunch of spare tubes there and switch out the tube. But every player there will have at least 2 spare wheels on the sideline, so quick changes in case they happen in quick succession. But then the mechanics will be in the background fixing those tubes as well.
This is Kano for Japan coming away, looking to find Ike. It's going to be in the clear.
Still that gap though, five points there. And time running out for Japan. And if they could pull this off, this would be massive for Japan to get up into the medals. And if USA fell out of the medals, that would be unheard of.
That would be an inquest, I think.
Basically, to put this in perspective, USA has won every major tournament bar 2 in the history of the game. That's world champs and Paralympics. They lost the 2002 world champs to Sweden, to Canada in Sweden, and they lost in the semi-final back in 2004 to Canada, which put them in the playoff for bronze, just as they did last night as well.
Which must have made you guys feel good if you didn't have to face up to the Americans in the final in 2004.
Yeah, I think we weren't overly worried about playing the Americans. We played them in pool play at that tournament, and they'd beaten us. But we were happy with the way we played the game at that stage of the tournament. We were there to win a tournament, not each game. We knew what we had to do. But at the same time, when we seen that we were playing Canada, I think we did feel more comfortable. It was a team we knew how to play more. I think different teams match up sometimes better and differently, and sort of some teams have their own little nemesis. As nemesis for USA seems to be Canada. And for us, at that stage, we felt comfortable playing Canada for the final.
Yeah. Dan Buckingham, part of the gold medal winning side for New Zealand in 2004.
2 years later, we had to play the Americans in the World Champs final, and it didn't quite go as well. Lost to the Americans there. down in Christchurch, which is a game I'd still love to go back and play. At that stage, we were putting everything into our sport at that stage. I think, just we're in really good form.
You're playing at home?
Playing at home in front of a great crowd, and we just couldn't pull it off in the final. And there were times, we got the ball on the deck off the Americans, I think 3 times, and we just couldn't pick it up, and it went straight back to them. So yeah, games like that sort of stick in your memory.
Yeah, it's funny, that one seems to stick in your memory more than the one that you actually won against the Americans, Dan.
Yeah, I've been asked before whether I hate losing more than I like winning, and I'm still not sure.
That's very honest of you. Still that 6-point gap, EK.
Yeah, Shin just had to call a timeout there. When you're attacking the key like that, an offensive player is only allowed in that key area, the orange part of the court, for 10 seconds. So the American players trapped Shin in there. He must have been getting close to 10. He just sensed it, he knew it, and called a timeout. So they'll get another crack at the key defense of the Americans again. Oh! And he doesn't get through. He pushed it too hard. Gap wasn't big enough. He went for it. Couldn't get the 2 wheels across the line.
Yeah, Chance Sumner backing up against Kishi, the number 15 for Japan.
Just closed down the gap, didn't he? And Chakaoki getting through the gaps. I remember Curtis Palmer, a New Zealand player, went over to play in the States. He was an import player over there and playing against Chakaoki. When I hadn't played against Chuck then, I asked what he was like to play against. Curtis said he makes the game look so easy. He looks bored. It's just he tears it up on court.
So Japan chasing this game, which I'm presuming may leave the opportunities for the Americans if you're having to commit to the attack and know that you've got to get on the scorecard. And
the score hasn't changed much for a while. It feels like the Americans, they've got their lead. They're comfortable. They're just holding their Japanese players. They know how to win out a game. They don't have to push it here.
Well, some great defensive work coming in from the likes of Sumner, Adam Scaturo. Certainly Sumner, with that impassive face of his, just manages to close down the space time after time.
Doesn't show a lot of emotion, does he?
He certainly doesn't. He's got a nice reverse gear there that he's used. A bit of emotion there. We saw the fist pump.
Bit of a fist pump.
First time from Charles Sumner, showing how happy he was with that blocking move on this guy, the number 11. Big Shin, Nakazato.
Chakaoki just working his way out of trouble again. Just gets out of that traffic. Just so easily.
Well, raucous crowd watching this today at the basketball arena. Crowd streaming in from
the final.
Yeah, exactly. Looking forward to the final. Streaming in from early. Gorgeous day here in London. One of the nicest days of the game so far.
And the game's coming to a close. It's one of the last events.
I'm not sure what we're going to do next week. It's been a terrific few weeks with the Olympic Games and the Paralympics.
Definitely some phenomenal action. As I've been here since the start and spending a lot of time at the Aquatic Centre and the Velodrome. And it just seemed like an age before the wheelchair rugby competition even started. But then when it did start, it just started with a vengeance. It just seemed to be everywhere and everyone was talking about it.
Well, it is, of course, the sport that has been the face of the Paralympic Games, certainly in this country in the build-up. It is the impact sport. It's the one with the glam. It's got the evil name of murder ball. It's used to sell games, and I think the great thing is that at events like this, and certainly at the Paralympics and the Olympics, you're getting people showing up who don't ordinarily get to see a lot of sport, because in a country like Great Britain, it's very expensive to see Premier League football. The stadiums could be sold out 3 or 4 times. Same with rugby union. They could sell Twickenham 3 or 4 times for big games against the likes of your boys. So I've been enjoying seeing crowds on the train down coming up, kids and families and people learning about wheelchair rugby and basketball and everything else that's been going on. It's been great to see.
the British are renowned for enjoying their live sport, aren't they? Really getting out. At times we struggle to fill our stadiums in New Zealand.
We have the opposite problem. We have too many people wanting to watch sport, and
big play there. That was back over half by Ike. So just coming up to the line there, and the Americans put pressure on him right on halfway and pushed him back over the halfway line. Just touched it enough that it's called back over half.
Sumner again, turnover. Andy Cohen for America, the number 11. Joe Delagrave is the number 14.
After 8 points out with the balls going up to 9. 36 on the clock for this third quarter.
Good turn of pace coming in from Andy Cohen.
Andy Cohen's a player that's been around a long time. He's been there. He was back there in 2002, back in Sweden, world champs. Third Paralympics for him. And Chance just going in too hard, going for too much pressure with only 25 seconds on the clock. And fouled. What he was doing there was going for the jump balls, so trying to change we talked about earlier, the team that wins the tip at the start of the game, after that it's sort of turn about for the start of the next quarter as to which team has the ball. But you can change that within the quarter if you get shared possession. So that's what Chance was just going for there, trying to get his hand on the ball so that he's effectively shared possession with the Japanese player. And it would have changed who had possession for the next quarter, so the Americans would have started the next quarter with the ball. But just pushed him too hard and ended up in the sin bin for his troubles. So Iki just runs it in, 0.7 on the clock, and Japan finally get a last to score. America having scored last for the last 2 quarters. But the last to score is not playing a big difference in this game with Americans. What are they, 8 points up now?
Yeah.
But Japan will have the ball to start the next quarter, so that should drop them back to 7.
It's a mountain decline for the Japanese side in this matchup against the United States. Japan making their Paralympic debut in Athens, finishing 8th. They lost all 6 matches, so you can see the progression of this side. 4 years later in Beijing, they defeated China in the group stage. That was their first victory at the Paralympic Games before losing to Germany in the classification round. They then beat China again to finish 7th 4 years ago.
Scott Hogshead having a lot to say there, as he always does on the sideline. Another player that's been around for a long time. This will be his 3rd Paralympics as well. And another player, he's just devoted his life to the sport. He just knows a lot about the sport. He played it so much. A lot of it alongside Andy Cohen, playing for the same club over there in the States.
A lot of players in the States based, it seems, in Arizona. You've got the Tucson Pterodactyls, the Phoenix Fusion accounting for most of this American squad. Denver Harlequins, Portland Pounders, I'm presuming of Oregon, and Sharp Edge. Where is Sharp Edge? The Andy Cohen's
It's down in San Diego. So Andy, he's originally from Phoenix, Arizona. Played a lot of his rugby out there and then moved over to California. But a lot of players from around the world have played in the USA League. It's such a strong league. There's so many tournaments. And just to give you a sort of a perspective of how it works, the season runs over 5-6 months. And you have you play regionals to get to sectionals to get to nationals, and then the top 16 teams in the States go through to nationals. Whereas in a country like New Zealand, we scraped together 6 teams for our nationals.
Yeah, but you won the gold medal.
Well, we did.
So something was working at one stage in wheelchair rugby in New Zealand, and
I think a big part of it was a lot of us had travelled to the States. We'd out of this starting lineup, 3 of us had played seasons in the States, and that's what you got to do. You got to travel. You got to get the overseas experience. And as a team, we travelled a lot as well, which we really struggle to do now with lack of funding. So building into Athens, we're over in the States playing, we're over in Aussie, we went to Japan, which is awesome. It's not just good rugby, but you're travelling the world with your mates, and It was just a magic time.
Good times for the American side. Ahead by 8. It's going to be ahead by 9 when Andy Cohen scores that point.
And Andy just taking his time running that in. They've just got control of this game now, and it's like they're just ticking away the time, just taking their time, running down the clock, closing out this game, getting the medal.
USA champions at 3 of the last 4 Paralympic Games. Not this time, competing for the bronze. Coming later, gold medal match, Canada against Australia.
So that'll be the first time for whoever wins it, getting the gold medal out of Canada and Australia. Both have been in the final now. I think this will be the 3rd time for both of them. Australia lost to USA in Sydney back in 2000, and they lost to USA again back in 2008 in Beijing. Canada, I'm pretty sure they were in the final against USA in 1996 in Atlanta, and they were in the final against us in Athens.
Ike for Japan, keeping an eye on that score clock, some 20 seconds to go, looking for the opening.
And finding it.
With a nice reverse move.
Just pushed his way past Scott Hogshead there. And pressure on Andy Cohen, but too much. Pushing that envelope too hard. Trying to force it, but they have to do it at this stage of the game. That far down, they've got to start making some plays.
So what exactly wrong was that with that challenge there from Ike?
Basically, he got a bit of body contact, so he's going for that ball, but the referee called that his arm hit Andy Cohen's arm. So no body contact allowed. It was a bit of a it was a bit of a harsh call, I think. I mean, a lot of the times referees will let those sort of calls go, keep the game flowing. I mean, after all, it is rugby, you know. Although officially no body contact, you know, occasionally you just let stuff go. If it's not holding the play up, if it's not having a huge impact on the game, referees will just keep the game flowing. Not that time.
Seth McBride from the Portland Pounders getting on the score sheet for the United States. 43-34, 6 minutes.
I think that shows a bit of the fatigue there of Ike. In a foot race with Chance Sumner, I think he usually would have won that, but end of the game, end of the tournament, he just couldn't get past it and had to work some magic to get there to the goal line. I'm surprised they still haven't brought on Shinichi Shimakawa, number 13 for Japan, sitting there on the side. He's got wheels to burn. He's been around forever. He's a smart player. But Japan get one back. Six minutes to go. They can't miss around here. They got to score quick and keep getting those turnovers. USA with the key defense. So 3 players in that orange part of the court. Only 3 players allowed. And Ike finds a way through. What the Japanese team were doing there, they had players on the outside of the key trying to spread the defense and create room for Ike to score. Fake from Chance to lose the defender. And he'll get over half pretty easily. Too easily. 3 USA players up there.
Yep, Japan wide open. Kazuhiko Kano is the number 6 to the aforementioned Nakazato Shin. Daisuke Ikezaki, Ike as he's known.
Again, the 2 Japanese players spreading the key, trying to create room for Ike to score. The US doing an awesome job on defense.
12 seconds on the clock.
He finds a way through. Again, that was the man on the side just creating the room for him. Oh, it's going to be another turnover. Nice.
It's Kano to Shin. Ike mopping up. Shin's going to go around the outside or try to. Seth McBride, the man blocking him off. Chance Sumner doing his trademark reverse maneuver.
Yeah, they got the turnover now. They've got to score. They've got to get the point on the board. And they get it.
Kano it is.
6 goals down, 4.5 minutes. It's not a lot of time to pull that back. And calling a timeout here. Whether it's to catch a breather or maybe a change up, not sure.
That was the hit coming in on, I think it was Chance Sumner spilling that ball due to a lot of pressure. I guess you instinctively know as a player that when you're going to get a hit, you can feel it coming, can you, Dan?
Yeah, you get to the stage where you play it so much, you basically know where everyone is on court. You can sort of feel it and you know it. And, often you know things are going to happen before they happen, but you still can't do anything about it. You know it's coming, and you know you may lose the ball, and it's just the way it is.
What are the changes that have come in since you won your gold medal? And I'm thinking in terms of physicality and tactics. Is it an evolving game?
It is evolving all the time. Definitely rule changes, chair specifications. So since I began the sport, so much has changed. You know, the chairs used to look so different. They had a lot of there was a lot less regulation around the size of the wings and the guards. So they looked a lot more like the Mad Max sort of crazy chairs. They've been refined a lot, but the big thing since we won in 2004 has been the 40-second score clock and the 12 seconds over half. So the game has got a lot faster. It used to be a lot more tactical, definitely around that last to score in the quarters, and teams would hold out for minutes on end and play what was called keep away to score last. And it was definitely a crowd killer. It wasn't the most exciting part of the game, but it was very tactical. As a player, I really enjoyed it. I liked that part of the game. I enjoyed the tactical side and managed to hold it up, but I admit it was a crowd killer, and it's made the game more exciting having that 40-second clock in.
Sounds like a form of chess.
Definitely chess on wheels.
Chess on wheels, yeah.
And it's still there as well. It's just that it's just a lot faster pace now.
Yeah.
And for us, that really suited us well, the New Zealand team. You know, we never had a lot of depth. We were allowed 12 players on the side, and we had 9 players there in Athens. So we didn't sub a lot, and to be able to play that tactical game, it wasn't as taxing. So you could hold the ball up, you could be more tactical. We had a very smart player with Tim Johnson on our team, and a really smart coach with Grant Sharman, and we played a smart tournament, I think.
Shakaoki doing the blocking on the line of Shin.
And just off the ball, Ike smashed the US player out of court, so he'll be going off to the sin bin. Another reason to go to the sin bin is knocked out of court off play. There's a whole lot of different rules that come into play. And ones you just learn, pick up as you go along as you play the game. So 4 players on court for Japan and 3 for the US. They should get an easy score here. They don't want to be messing around about it because they're running out of time. They want to be scoring quick. So less than 3 minutes now. And a score line that's going to be hard to pull back.
You've seen it though.
Yeah, seen score lines like this disappear. And that's the other good thing about the 40-second clock, is score lines like this can close up quickly. Whereas in the past, where a team could just hold it up and burn the clock, you wouldn't see the score disappear. And the result will be a foregone conclusion. Which sucked the fun out of it at times as well. So that makes it more exciting as well, keeping the game alive right to the end.
All right, 6-point gap. Less than 3 minutes on the clock. 3 minutes for Japan to do something. They're giving it their all. You've got to say that. Good blocking coming in from Chuck Aoki, allowing Joe Delagrave to glide home.
Joe Delagrave, I think, just at the start of his career, he's going to really step up and be a big force for the US team. Got all the physical attributes.
got to get it over the halfway line fairly quickly. And that's where the mistakes come in, American pressure.
I'm pretty sure at this stage Japan are out of timeouts and they just had to force that ball. They were running close to the 12 seconds to get over half, and they're at the stage they just had to try and get the ball over half any way they could and hope it connected.
Yeah, Kano was the man who had to,
with an American.
Had to bat it away. No problem with the 12-second time on this move. Kano to glide in. 48-40.
Still no changes from the Japanese side. Hiroyuki Masaka there on the sideline. He spent some time in New Zealand playing over there, playing with the Canterbury side. Another player that's been around for a while.
That was the turnover ball there from Kano's desperation with the clock running down. Straight to the arms of Delagrave, who took that quite happily over the line. So 7-point deficit. USA heading towards that bronze medal position. Some recompense for losing out on the chance to win a gold medal. That's going to be decided later between Canada and Australia.
Yeah. Americans don't look happy about that bronze medal. Thought they did. Joe Delagrave, another big play.
Extending that lead for the American side. Some crunching hits coming in.
Oh, another turnover. Too easy. Basically gave them the ball. So starting to blow out with less than 2 minutes to go now.
EK in a bit of bother.
And can't get over over half within 12 seconds either, so another turnover. This is disappointing after the way the game started. I thought it was really there was a potential for it to come down to the wire with Japan really pushing and even getting up at one stage.
That was just dreadful by Kano. He had his head in his hands there, knew exactly what he'd done.
I think the Americans they've worn them into the ground.
Yeah,
Japan haven't got much left in the tank at this stage.
Turning the screw despite the efforts of this man. He's got support from Shin. Delagrave slowing him down.
Good hit there by Delagrave. And a nice pass off to score. Just over a minute. So the different chairs there you can see as well, the low pointers have the big wide bull bars at the front of their chairs. It's more of a defensive chair, so they're made for picking and blocking, whereas a chair like Chakaoki there, more streamlined as he goes over the line, made for getting through the gaps.
So the likes of Kishi's chair here, number 15, very different to Aoki's.
Yeah, that's called a low point chair. So it's a low point player, and that refers to his classification. So one of the less function, so lower point, lower classification. His role is more to take out the players. So he does a lot of work off the ball, and often the low pointers doing all the work, and the high pointers get the ball, and all going well, just cruise through and get the goals. So it's often said, it's about making your teammates look good. It's what you're trying to do on court, doing what you can off the ball to make the other players get the goal and look good.
Shin just losing control there under pressure.
The turnover's coming thick and fast for the US now. You see Delagrave there just waited for his screen. He just sat there, he knew his block was coming. Hilton came around and he just used him to get through the gap and eased over half.
10-point gap with just 35 seconds on the clock.
I think they'll run the bit of time down now, just take their time. And really they're ready to close out this game. Time in London's coming to an end. And I'd say they'll be pretty gutted they're not in the next game, the USA. They would have been loving to play off the gold. And it would have been a huge matchup, you know, it's been built against Australia. Big Hail Mary there pays off. Full court goal.
Yeah, popular score for Kano right at the end, back within 10 points, 10 seconds on the clock. USA bronze medalist at this event. For many teams, that's a resounding success. For the American side, perhaps seen as something of a disappointment.
Yeah, a huge disappointment for the US guys. They would have been very confident coming into this, being in that final, and end up probably getting gold. It's the last chance here for a goal for Japan. 3 seconds on the clock. They'll go for a quick pass in and intercepted, so that'll close out the game. And a foul to end the game. So clapping by the American team there. Bronze medal winners.
Yeah, they've not had bronze since the year Dan Buckingham side won in Athens in 2004. Gold medalists in 3 of the last 4 games. It's a novel experience for the likes of Chokioki. But to come away with any medal is a success at these games, given the intensity of the battle, and credit as well to the likes of Ike, who gave it all, his all today for the Japanese side. Kano as well. Look, utterly devastated not to get that bronze medal.
Yeah, for the Japan team, you know, this is best they've ever finished at a Paralympics, you know, playing off for the bronze medal. But, you know, you just see the passion and what they've put into this. They're still gutted. They couldn't just go that one step further and get on the podium.
So Coach Gumby, Jim Gumbert, looking a bit happier than he was yesterday after that defeat to the Canadian side. His team running out winners by 10 points, causing a lot of tears on the faces of some of the Japanese players, but as well a lot of mutual respect. It's always nice to see in this, and certainly in the wheelchair basketball. You guys always seem to know each other well. You play in the same leagues, you meet quite often at major events, and a lot of respect between the two teams.
Yeah, you form some great friendships around the world, you know. That's the great thing about the sport. It's a great sport just to play, but you get to travel the world. There's so many opportunities. And then there's great guys that play the sport as well, and some really close friendships.
So there's the final statistics showing the American domination, and as Dan